Namaste. This is Michelle Skaletski-Boyd. It's important you understand that even though I am certified with the International Medical and Dental Hypnotherapy Association, I am not a doctor, nor should any part of the experiences be construed as medical diagnosis or advice. Most importantly, follow your inner truth and enjoy the experience, come what may.
All right. So I just want you to officially introduce yourself. Just tell your name and where you're from and what drew you here.
Hello, my name is Gloria. I'm from Peru, Lima. And well, I have been receiving your mails from 2 years ago, more or less. And I like the name of your, Soulfelt. And I like the symbol also of the mountains with the birds or eagles. And well, I just was receiving your emails, but I didn't open them. And then when I saw that you were asking for volunteers, it was just so fast. And I said, yes, I want that. And I answered. So I think it was kind of intuitive thing from my intuition. And I'm here.
Okay. So one of the things that I like to do, because I know that you may not be all that familiar with what I do in my work. So I'm just going to briefly just share that I am an empath. So I primarily pick up your energy by getting into your energy field and kind of feeling what you feel. So one of the very first things that I felt was resistance. It's like, if you can envision like somebody standing underneath a waterfall and trying to control the waterfall, like they're totally exhausted. And can you relate to what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I was wondering because before I had a problem with electricity, and so we had a meeting, and then electricity was cut in my area, and it's very weird. It happens like twice a year, maybe, or once a year. So I was wondering, maybe my resistance are so strong.
So what this is it's kind of it's like if the universe was stepping forward to dance with you, your flow reaction would be to step back, right? But for you, your reaction is to step forward at the same time the universe is stepping forward. And it's kind of like this bumping thing that occurs, and then it's like exhausting, if that makes any sense. I can feel that so much. It's such a push-pull against the universal flow. And because we really are the universe, right, in our own way, having our own experience, so some people that's hard to swallow, to say, we are the co-creator of our reality. We are God having a human experience as ourselves. That can be a lot sometimes to accept, because we're afraid of our own power. We're afraid of our own, in your case today, your own electricity, your own spark. And so we self-sabotage. And that's really what it feels like, is whenever you start to get close to any type of success or coming out into your full bloom of who you are, you kind of like freak out and you self-sabotage. So my question for you is, how long has this been going
on? Well, I'm conscious of that like 5 years ago, like when I wanted to begin to show my work to the world, to the people around. It's just maybe 5 years now. But is this, I have this, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I'm very enthusiastic, and then no, it's not good. No, people will laugh at me. No, who cares? I like it, but nobody else would like it. So I stopped.
Yeah, and see, we also can manifest that feeling in our body. And I know before session, you had shared with me that you have some physical stuff going on. And I want to just share with you, because I think this is important, kind of what came up in my meditation. So before I work with anybody privately, I like to be able just to kind of tap into their energy field and just kind of see what comes up. So when you shared some of your physical stuff that's happening, it totally goes in line with what I'm picking up spiritually. And I just want to share why that is. So when it comes to anybody who has anything that has anything to do with fibromyalgia, what happens is it's a muscle pain, it's a stiffness, and it's a tired. So imagine that waterfall, again, that analogy that I gave you. How long can somebody sustain trying to stand underneath a waterfall with their arms above their head? I mean, it's going to be exhausting, right? If you imagine the waterfall is flow, and that's life in terms of synchronicity and harmonization, and you're working against it, it's no wonder that your muscles are so exhausted and that you're so tired. The other thing is that when you talk about, some of this other irritable stuff that's happening down kind of in the colon area, that's all nerves, and it's all contraction. It always has to do with us resisting something where it's not in flow. So just our whole entire colon itself, right? That's all flow, or it's not. If you just think about just plumbing in general, right? How plumbing works. We have our internal plumbing, of course, but then external plumbing as well. Everything could be really smooth and really wonderful if nothing got in the way, if there was no resistances, if there was no blockages that occurred. The moment that there's blockages that start to occur, well, then we're not sure what's happening here, right? It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and everything's a little bit unpredictable. Well, that's really what's going on internally with you. And the reason why is because of this clenchedness. And so what came up as I was meditating specifically around this is that there was something that you learned to do when you were little, whenever you were facing fear. And that particular technique, it served you well at the time, but because you have a neuron pathway in your energy field and in your brain in terms of how to use it, it's sort of stuck, if that makes sense. Like you literally are stuck energetically in that pattern right now. And so I'm going to get more specific for you. So when you were younger, there was something that occurred around the idea of fear and around the idea of putting yourself out there. And whatever that fear was, you learned to clench your abdomen area in such a way that now your colon and everything that, is around the colon, so all of that, the intestines and everything, have been clenched and distorted. And because they've been clenched and distorted and they can't relax, you have kind of like this, stuff going on internally where everything's really, really tight. And it's because of how you're handling fear and how you're handling worry.
Yeah, fear is a big thing for me. And well, I've been researching, and when I think 1 year ago, one doctor told me that it was IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And she explained that the intestines get very tight, like the muscles. So people that have fibromyalgia also have that and I was not conscious of that. Now I'm very conscious. Most of the day, the muscles of my stomach area or the bowel area are, and then I have to release very consciously. Okay.
Yeah.
And then again, it's so automatic, and then I release.
Yep.
All the time.
Yeah, so when you were younger, there was something that occurred that was pretty traumatic. I can see it in your energy field. And that trauma caused your abs to tighten. And because of the tightening, the clenching, and the fear, and that's where you held it, you create a neuron pathway of memory in your brain that says, oh, when I feel fearful or I feel worried, I need to do this because it protected you before. And so your subconscious then says, well, I was protected before by doing this, so I'm going to keep being protected whenever I feel fear or whenever I feel worry. So whoever you're thinking about when I say ascended masters, whatever that means to you, whatever your religion is, whatever your ascended masters are, just simply bringing that being or those beings in and bringing in some castor oil. I'm seeing really strongly castor oil for you. So get some castor oil packs. Castor. So in the US, it would be CASTOR, castor oil. So get some castor oil pack. So I don't know if you've ever made one before, but your ancestors are very much into herbs. And what they showed me, and I actually had to do some research, but this is what came in. So you mentioned in your intro to me that you really have a calling to connect with your ancestors. And so the moment I read that, I could see this whole entire team of what I would say pioneer women who lived off the land, who were medicine women, who were very much into herbs and very much into following the flow and synchronicity of Mother Earth. Quechua, it has some ties to the Incas and the Andes. And so here in the US, we would kind of say that it was an indigenous culture through the Andes mountains out of Peru. And there was a whole group of people who were indigenous enough where they sort of broke away from the Catholicism and sort of did their own thing. And the belief system that you have is this push-pull energy has to do with ancestral beliefs in terms of religion. So one group went this way and one group went that way. And you're sort of genetically kind of caught in between that, I can feel spiritually. So your intestines sort of get all tied up in terms of, should I go this way? Is it safe? Is it not safe? So as I say that, does any of this make sense to you?
Yeah, I worked on a dream I had a long time ago. I got this gift from an ancestor of an Indian cross with a Catholic cross together, like showing me that I can join both, because I've been some time ago, like what should follow, because my father was very Catholic, but my feeling of my ancestors, they were more devoted to the Pachamama, to the mountains, to the earth. But now I know they can be together. They don't fight. I mean, they can be together. But it's hard for me.
So what is your biggest limiting belief?
All the time comes to me, I'm stupid. And then when I want to show something of my job, or make a workshop or something, create something to offer, it's like, nobody's gonna like it. Now, the only stupid person that likes that is me, because I'm crazy, because I'm different, whatever. But nobody's gonna like it, just me.
Okay.
That always come.
In your profile, you mentioned that you work with young children. You volunteer with them.
Yeah.
And one of your gifts is to be able to tell them how beautiful their work is, how original it is, and how unique it is, and how it only comes from them. And because it's coming from them, that's what makes it so special, because nobody else could create it except for them. So you're not able to see that same thing in yourself, which is why you keep teaching it again and again and again to all these little kids, because you know that the little kids are in flow, that you know that what it is that you're saying is truth, but for some reason you're not able to take it in yourself. And so as soon as you take that in, and again, your ancestors are bringing in the castor oil packs, the ascended masters. So whatever that is for you in terms of, if it's Jesus on one side and then whoever the other ascended master might be that, brings in with the Pachamama, that whole beautiful Gaia and Mother Earth, whatever that is for you, surround yourself with it, create yourself a sacred space, create a castor oil pack. You can do a Google search on it and kind of find out how to do it. It's pretty simple. Leave it on around your digestive area and keep doing that for a while, just to kind of give yourself a toxic cleanse and to loosen. You want to loosen the intestines, and you want to really be able to trust your ascended masters fully and completely. So when you go into the sacred space, what I can see is they're going to start to unwind this tightness. And just even as we're talking, it's starting to happen. I can feel that. Okay, Gloria. So what's happening is they're starting to undo some of the knots. So you have a fear of being seen as stupid, in your words, but what I would say by reading your field is you have a fear of being made the fool. Okay, so when you have a fear of being made the fool, being laughed at, being made fun of, having your work, kind of dismissed because it's not good enough, that kind of thing, oftentimes it goes back to what I would call past life energy, and or it can go back to childhood. In your case, it's childhood. So it could be something really tiny, something that, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about it. So I'm just going to open up the field for you right now. Energetically, I can feel your guides are helping you do that. I'd like for you to think about a time where you really, really did your best. You did a fantastic job. It was a project. You were so pleased and so proud of yourself, but it wasn't well received. You received not very good feedback from the people around you. You can feel what's coming in, right? Mm. That is where the root of this all is. Mm-hmm. So that little girl, how old were you when it happened?
8 or 9.
Okay. So that little girl clenched in order to get through that experience. She made it okay. She wasn't killed. She wasn't put in danger, but she clenched. She clenched her abs, and things started to twist a little bit in terms of how she viewed herself, how she viewed her work, and how she viewed the world. Now, I'd like for you to put on your artist, your healer cap for a minute. And imagine this little girl outside of you, and she's in one of your classes, and you watched other people around her give her that feedback that you received. What does she need to hear? Isn't this interesting? You got some siren sounds going off, right? What, right? It's like, even me having you go there, I can feel is kind of scary. But I'd like for you to keep yourself separate, okay? You don't have to be the little girl right now. Be the adult, be the healer. What does the little girl need more than anything right now?
A hug. Yeah.
And at a deeper, like a psychological place, what does she need? She needs to feel what?
To feel safe, to feel contained.
Accepted, right? Approved, validated, right? Loved, to know that doing her best is enough. All of those things are your gift. If it wasn't for your little 8 or 9-year-old having this experience, Gloria, and helping you understand what that feeling is, to be made the fool of, to be rejected, to not have your work accepted, if she didn't have that experience, you wouldn't be able to relate to these young children who are looking to express themselves artistically, but they are already being beat up in so many other ways that they're just looking for one more excuse or reason to not be enough. They're looking for one more person just to say, your work sucks, and they're going to throw in the towel. You're there from your experience as a little kid to say, I know what that feels like, and don't ever give your power to anyone. Don't ever give your power away, because what's coming through you is creation, and you are the co-creator. And so let's move through this. And then you use dance and you use play to get them back into their body again and to get them aligned.
Yeah.
What you're offering and what you are able to offer in terms of artistic workshops for adults and children, and by the way, the children don't have the money, but the adults do. What you're able to offer in terms of inner child healing, combining both arts and movement, is awesome. I don't think you realize the gold mine you're sitting on. I'd like for you just to think about this for a second. You have little Gloria, and she had this experience where she felt like she was stupid and her work, nobody was going to like it. And if she put it out there, she'd be made fun of and she'd be laughed at. Now, Gloria, the adult, comes to your class and you're having her draw, and you have her tell the story, and she says, well, I'm really conscientious. This is hard for me to even put this out there because when I was 8 or 9, this is what happened. This is an opportunity for healing. Let's move through it. And then you use dance to align and to heal the person. That is such a therapeutic gift that you have between art therapy and movement therapy, that people will want more of it. You just have to be the first person to do it for yourself now, because you know what needs to be done. When we have a fear of being made the fool, oftentimes in our childhood, it's a bookmark to a past life. And I can see that in other lifetimes that you were made fun of, and you put yourself out there and you were literally ostracized from your tribe. They didn't want, which is where your limiting beliefs are coming from. If I reject you because of something you do and you're no longer included in our group, it can be very hard as humans who want community and who want love. And so it's a matter of recognizing that in the same way that those crosses were brought to you, seeing that one way is community and inclusion, and the other was complete rejection, and sometimes to the point of death, where we don't like you enough, where we're going to crucify you, right? Taking the two together in terms of community and in terms of crucifixion, and giving yourself permission to find the middle of it and to energetically move through the middle of it. Because when we get into a push-pull energy, the law of polarity can keep us stuck in the same way that magnets can keep us, stuck, or that, those Chinese finger puzzles, the more we pull, the more we're stuck. You have to move through it in order to heal. And movement with you is going to be key, because you know exactly what you need to do to align yourself. And by you helping other people heal, you're going to be continuously helping yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and several people tell me that you have a great thing, a great work to offer. And I know here, but my body gets frozen. Like
it's the little girl in you. It's her neuron pathway that needs to be healed, Gloria. Okay? So our mind is telling us it's not safe because of the way that we had programmed a previous experience. Okay? There are other times I can see your guides are showing me that might be too personal to talk about, in terms of where you also clenched out of fear. where you shut down your feminine and you weren't able to move forward because of danger. And all of those times are going to be really key. I can see in Peru, you have different herbs that you can actually purchase and buy. And so take different herbs also and start opening them up. So put them on topically around your abdomen in the same way that you would the castor packs, and start doing some energy healing on yourself, because it doesn't feel like you've done much of that. I mean, you've done a lot of mind, you've done a lot of psychological stuff, you've done, a lot of spiritual stuff in hopes people can help with your answers. But when it comes to actually doing healing work on yourself, I'm not seeing a lot of it. So your guides are saying, create a sacred space for yourself, lie down, put some of these herbal packs on yourself, call in your ascended masters, and give yourself permission to loosen all of these kinks so that you can move and flow. And every time a fear comes up, because they're going to come up, I mean, literally they're stuck in your digestive tract, in your colon, okay? So as they start to come up, as they start to come through you, as they start to come into your memory, honor them. And instead of fearing them or trying to figure them out, trying to put a lesson to it, just simply just honor them. Just bow, honor them, each one, every single time. And just say thank you, because they are gifts. They're just, your perception has been twisted in the same way that you thought this entire time that your gifts spiritually were not to be introduced to the world because they were stupid ideas, right? That was a twist. In actuality, that was the colon and the intestines distorting the real truth. And the authentic truth is that your gifts are unique. And because your gifts are unique and you allow them to come through you, you allow them to channel to you in a way that allows you to trust the divine to work through you, you now can see when someone else's energy is distorted, where it's kinked off, where it's misaligned. And you can use your dance and your movement to help them return to flow.
I'm sweating cold. How do you say? It's cold sweat.
Inner child work is going to be huge for you. Now, I know that you mentioned that you might have found me from Dr. Margaret Paul, which she and I have done events together. So it's very possible. I've interviewed her before, and I know that she's assisted even by reading my last fictional book. So she does a lot of inner child work, and I know you know this. Your inner child is the core of who you are, is the essence of who you are. Mm-hmm. However, that 8 or 9-year-old, that wasn't your essence. You need to go back further till the time you were about 3 or 4, where life was wondrous, where even if you took your own poo and smeared it on the wall, you were happy because, hey, that was art and that was how you expressed yourself. Mm-hmm. That age is so important to the healing of your 8 or 9-year-old. You're going to bring in that little girl, whatever age she is, where you remember everything was magical at that age. Everything was glorious at that age. And so that particular time period, you're going to have that little girl come in and do the healings on their 8 or 9-year-old. You're not going to do anything as an adult other than just allow it to happen. Just witness it. But the essence of who you are, the little girl who remembers life being marvelous, joyous, wonderful, glorious, that little girl is the one who's going to do the healing work on the 8 or 9-year-old and help her return to flow.
Yeah, I had an image some years ago of a little girl, very small, like of the cartoons. I don't remember what's the 3 or 4 cartoon little girls with the big eyes and guiding me, saying me, come.
Yeah. ultimately you get to decide. You can stay clenched. You can stay in this point of, complete, what's the word, where you're so tensed up that your muscles are restricting and resisting everything. It's okay. There's no judgment. That's how you've survived for a long time. That's how you've survived. And so it's important not to feel like I have to do this or else, because that's sort of backfiring. If you put pressure on yourself to get this done and to do it, you're only adding to the energy. So it's really important that you not judge it as bad, you not judge it as good, you just judge it as, this is where I've been. And if it's something that's supposed to release, then it will release. Okay? And if you feel like you have to go to the extreme opposite, where, I better move and I better loosen up and I better do a bunch of art and I better put myself out there in a way that feels very scary, your body's just going to stay in a clenched mode. So it's about being very gentle and very patient with yourself. It's just giving yourself permission to really be in a gentle, calm, nothingness space. So no expectations, just complete void, complete silence, because creation can start to move only after we move into the void. We have to first move into the nothingness void of potentiality. And that's where the healing is, Gloria. It's not in the field of creation. It's in the field of potentiality. It's in that void of nothing. Right now, you're in that field of potentiality, of everything and nothing simultaneously, all that ever is, all that ever was. This field, right where we're at now, is the field that I'd like for you to enter sacred space in when you do the healing on yourself. Okay?
Okay.
Good. So you guys are also, just as I wrap up here, they're also saying congratulations, because you have put yourself out there. You've started to. Now your psychological mind is starting to come up with excuses and reasons not to keep doing it, by the way. The more you put yourself out there, the more clenching occurs, the more psychological fear comes in, and the more, if I keep doing this, then I'm going to lose my house, okay? That particular fear is also colon related. So if you think about your chakras and how they work, your chakras in terms of being grounded and in terms of being stable and in terms of being aligned, all come from the tailbone area, right? Come from the colon area. So your fear of losing your house is very much tied into this. Money is in that second chakra area. So it's all kind of tied in terms of the creation and the void. So if you think about the void and what I'm talking about, here in America, we actually say, go and void yourself. That means go and have a bowel movement, void, okay? So that void is also a place of it's a vacuum. It's a place of nothingness. It's a place of potentiality. So you're afraid of losing your house, and in actuality, it's a distortion. By moving into the void, it's going to keep you in your house. By moving into potentiality, you then allow the distortion and the kink to open up back into flow so that you can put yourself out there in a creative way that becomes lucrative and that becomes true to who you are.
You say the void, the space of empty space. So you remember when the people begins to create something, there's nothing. And when I begin to create, and I always tell them, the participants of workshops, just trust, trust. Something will appear. You just, and I listen to myself when I say that, but then I don't apply that in my life, but it's so beautiful. Create from nothing.
Yeah. You're ready. You're ready to become the master. See, the reason that my email attracted you now where it hadn't been attracting before is because you're ready. You're ready to shift. You're ready to make this shift now. You no longer want to be in the same place that you've been since you were 8 or 9 years old. You want to now shift. In the last 5 years, especially, as you start to put yourself out there in terms of your career more and more, you now are at a point where you're ready to make the leap. And if you keep moving in the direction that you've been moving in, you know that it's a detriment to your health. It's not going to be helpful at all. And so you have to back up, go back into the field of potentiality, and recreate again. Only this time, no distortion. So just create that sacred space for yourself and enjoy the experience, like I like to say.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye.